Coming up on episode 416 of Wheel Bearings, we got the Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro, Acura ADX, Honda Passport Trail Sport Elite. More on EV tax credits ending at the end of the month. Ineos is cutting prices. Volvo's XC70 has 120 miles of plug-in hybrid range. GM's cutting production of EVs in Detroit. Ram's now shipping Hemi Ram 1500s. We've got an off-roading Chrysler Pacifica concept. AMG sets a bunch of EV records. Lucid's doing some updates for 2026. And Robbie visits Slate. All that and more coming up next. This is episode 416 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abu-Al-Samad from Telemetry.
And I'm Nicole Wakelin from Top Speed.
And I'm Roberto Baldwin from SAE International and also Ars Technica this week.
Ooh. Excellent.
Well, there'll be an Ars Technica thing going up this week for me.
Okay. So, Nicole, what have you been driving?
Yes. Well, last week I had the, I almost said the Honda Acura. Nope, that's not what the car is.
That's a thing.
The Honda
Acura. Thing. Honda Acura.
That's what you get when you look both
Acuras
cars.
are basically Hondas.
The Honda Acura, yeah. The 2025 Acura ADX all-wheel drive A-Spec Advance. Again, these long titles. So this is an all-new car, I guess I should say, or SUV this year. It's like
it's a new nameplate.
New nameplate. There we go. Thank you. Robbie's the one who just woke up, and I'm the one who has no words. So it's a new nameplate. It's this is. I feel like this is just the continued expansion of every OEM to have an SUV for every conceivable size, right? Like
every 3 inches there has to be a brand new SUV.
Right. It's like, wait, we can make one 1 inch smaller, wedge it right in there. So it's just another SUV, which sounds like I'm discounting it, but it's a good SUV. I like it. I did enjoy driving this. I thought it was a great vehicle. It starts at $42,000, but mine was a bit pricier than that. Mine was, sorry, I closed the wrong page. $45,950, so it's a little bit more. Do you guys want to take a guess at the destination handling charge on this puppy?
$1,395.
$1,400.
Well, Sam wins. $1,350. You were really close.
Oh, well, we talked about it last week, so I think Sam just remembers.
Yeah. That's cheating, Sam.
No,
who had it last week? Wait, who had? Did you have it last week?
I did, but I honestly don't remember. I
wouldn't remember. To be honest, I would.
Most Hondas and Acuras are in that range.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have remembered. I'd be like, did I drive that last week? I wouldn't remember the car.
By the time the show is over, I'll be like,
be
how
honest,
much was it?
I didn't find it all that memorable anyway.
I thought it was fine. I liked it. It felt like
fine. That is the key word. It's fine.
Fine.
Okay, tell us what you love about the ADX. What
I love about the ADX, I liked a lot. I like the ADX. It feels it feels like an Acura. There's nothing really to complain about, but I don't know that there's anything to specifically cheer about. It has a 1.5 liter engine, 190 horsepower. That's not very much. That's kind of modest. A CVT. There's paddle shifters. Why do they do that? No one's using paddle shifters on this. Like, no one. It just makes you think.
Because Acura is Honda's performance brand. So
But
you gotta have paddles.
Mine, did yours do that? Mine didn't go pa. I didn't even play with them because I'm not good at this. You're not buying this if you're looking for a sports car. Anyway,
definitely not.
It's like, so why give us paddle
not.
Shifters, right? So it is not. I don't want to say it's underpowered, but it's just enough. It is the just right car. It is it's the one that Goldilocks would be like, this is okay. This is just right. Not too
but
much.
It's okay for a Honda, I think.
It's I guess that would be the challenge for what did I just say? $45,950. I feel like it's a lot. Like, that's a lot for this vehicle. It hasn't, it's got leather seats and, it has the A-spec package, which gives cool styling stuff. So you get, it has ventilated front seats. You have sport pedals, which look pretty cool. You get ambient lighting. You get some LED fog lights. But it just is, it's for, that just looks. And there's the advanced package, which is part of it too on this one. You get a 15-speaker Bang & Olufsen audio. Cool. You get a heated sports steering wheel. Cool. You add some stuff to it.
You said less improved as you go. You're like, you get
I
another
know.
thing. Cool.
I thought everything about this vehicle was good, but I didn't think it was great. It wasn't something that I thought, okay, I'm so impressed with this. I have to share the news of the ADX with everybody. I thought it's gonna check the box for some people who are looking for a relatively affordable Acura at $45,950 for an Acura, for an SUV. Yeah, that's fine. That has just enough power, just enough. Just enough.
I don't know about that.
You didn't think it had enough? I wasn't here last week, so what did you think? Did you think it was way underpowered, or just like?
I think it's definitely on the underpowered side for what is supposed to be a performance brand.
Yeah.
I clocked it 9.5 seconds 0 to 60, and it doesn't feel quick. It feels slow.
It feels well. Do you like you're calling Acura a performance brand? Do you really think of it?
Acura calls themselves a performance brand.
But do you think of them as a performance brand? Do you think of them as like Honda's luxury brand, or do you think of them as Honda's performance brand? They're
Honda's Audi.
They're Honda's Audi?
Yeah, I mean, they are more luxurious than a Honda, but I would not put them in the same luxury class as, let's say, Lexus.
Yes.
I mean, traditionally, Acuras have been, if you have a spectrum of performance to luxury, Lexus has veered more towards the luxury side of that spectrum. Mm-hmm. Acura has veered a little more to the performance side of that spectrum.
True.
And as I said, as a brand that explicitly promotes themselves as a performance brand, the Integra, the TLX, the RDX, these are models that to me feel much more sporting. They're not sports cars, but they feel much more performance oriented.
I would agree.
Even though they also have nice premium interiors. And in the case of the ADX is like the one model in the lineup that to me just really misses the boat of what Acura themselves claim the brand to be. The styling is a little more bland than any of the other Acuras. And the thing I talked about last week was the powertrain in this thing is actually it's a good powertrain. We had basically the same engine and transmission in our Civic for 8 years, and my wife loved it. But that Civic weighed 700 pounds less. And even now, well, it's not that it's that big; it's just too heavy. They've added some ballast in there somewhere because an Integra is basically the same size and weighs 550 pounds less.
Yeah. The engine, and I would agree with you, this is a great little engine. Like it's a turbocharged little 4-cylinder, 190 horsepower, the CVT, that is all really actually quite good. It's just not quite good for this vehicle. It's not enough for this vehicle. If you put it into a Civic, suddenly you've got a great combination. This is just, it's too heavy and it's not enough power for this vehicle. So I didn't find it horrifically underpowered. I definitely didn't find it sporty, but I think sometimes, like you're saying, Acura bills itself as the performance brand. I still think some people think of it that way. I think a lot of people think of it as more like the luxury-ish, luxury light brand of Honda. Like there's Honda Acura, Toyota Lexus, Hyundai Genesis. They're all very different in those top brands. But I think people just say, well, it's their fancy brand. Everything's a little bit nicer. In that regard, I think it looks nicer than the average Honda. It's a little bit more luxurious than the average Honda. So I think it's good. But I think if you're looking for the performance part of this, I don't think it's for the average person. They're going to think it's terrible. I think if you're looking for the performance, you're going to be disappointed. If that's like your focus and that's what you think you're getting in this Acura, you're going to be sad. If you just want a nice little SUV that has a decent amount of power and looks good and has an Acura badge on the front, then you're not going to be disappointed.
And the thing is, for $45,000, you can get a base RDX.
Yes.
That has all-wheel drive. It has super handling all-wheel drive. So it's got the torque vectoring system in there. And a 2-liter turbo with 272 horsepower. It doesn't have all of the features that you get in the A-Spec ADX at that price point. But even even the A-Spec RDX, is $50,000, $50,300. And, if you're going to spend 45, can you manage to spend a few thousand more? Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
But even if you go for the base RDX, for the same amount of money, and yes, you give up a few features, but it's a lot more enjoyable vehicle to drive.
So did you do the launch program for the ADX?
I did.
I did not. So, which is what I hate. That's what I hate about missing a launch. It's not so much driving the car. I know I'll get it in my driveway, but you miss what they think they built. Like, what was their... Do you remember what they said? Like, we built this because...
They called it the gateway to the Acura brand.
Okay.
Okay,
so if you look at it as the gateway, like, I can't really get, like, the first little baby step into something nicer than a Honda.
To me, the entry point I would prefer to take, if I was going to buy, if I'm interested in an Acura, is the Integra. Yeah. Which has the same starting price.
But maybe you need more car maybe you need more room than an Integra. I like the Integra better too. But maybe you need more car than that.
But if you actually look at the numbers, the ADX has a shorter wheelbase. It does not actually have any more interior volume than an Integra. The only thing it has over an Integra is you sit up a little bit higher. You sit a couple inches higher. And if that is an issue for you, that you really want that higher seating point, but the thing is, this is not like a real SUV. This is very much a car crossover.
Yeah, they're calling it a premium compact SUV. It's kind of a compact crossover. It's not big and roomy. It's not and it has very sloped. The back is very sloped. Yeah. So it in the back you're losing both cargo room and you're using some headroom. Like, it feels smaller when you're sitting. Yeah, Robbie's doing the hunch thing. Yeah, that's what he would be doing in the back, which you wouldn't do in the RDX. The RDX.
Yeah, I mean, if what you want is a more performance-oriented Acura that has similar amount of interior space, get the Integra. If what you want is an Acura SUV, get the RDX.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to go for a base level ADX, which, again, kind of.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm like, I pulled up the consumer site because I was curious so if you're just a consumer and you're shopping, you're right. That Integra starts at 33, the ADX starts at 35, but the RDX starts at 44.7. So if you're just looking at base prices, the ADX is that's like almost 10. That's basically 10 grand.
But that $35,000 ADX is also front wheel drive.
Right. So it's, but
so
I
you
mean,
add a couple thousand more for all wheel drive.
Exactly. But if you're like really like as a consumer, just looking like, oh my God, wait, I can get that one for 35. So you're going to go right to that if your budget is tight and you're kind of stretching to get yourself into an Acura.
I think, if that's an issue, then you should, I would strongly recommend people actually look at the Integra over this.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot more fun driving an Integra than you are, because even that front wheel drive ADX is still about 250, 300 pounds heavier than the Integra. So it's not going to have as much performance. You're not getting any extra interior room. It's like, it's kind of the worst of all worlds to me.
Wow. So you loved the ADX. I can see that's the top of your shopping list. No,
I mean, it does. I will grant the handling is it's good, in typical Honda fashion. It's good driving dynamics. But again, that ultimately you're limiting it because of that added weight that you're hauling around too.
Yeah. So yeah, I would agree with everything. It was fine. It was fine. It was just fine. But there's better options out there. There's nothing really wrong with it.
Even within the Acura lineup.
Even with an Acura, you can get a better Acura than this if you want to.
It's like the Chevy Malibu. Like, it's fine, but there's so many other things in the world that are so much better.
I never liked that
On the other
car.
hand, you will never find an ADX in a daily rental fleet.
As a car, it's fine. It's fine.
It's just somehow I never liked the Malibu.
I don't like it at all. I generally hate the Malibu. But if you just look at it as a car, like, it's fine. But I absolutely hate it.
See, when I say fine about the ADX, I'm like, it's fine. When I say fine about the Malibu, I literally mean that meme with the dumpster fire.
It's fine.
I mean, I
would not go that far with the Malibu.
I did not like it.
Oh, I don't like it either. But as a vehicle, it's just like, all right, they built a car you can rent.
Yeah.
It is the official,
you can genuinely tolerate the Malibu.
They sent me the Malibu to test out the teen narc setting that they had on there. So
narc setting.
And
isn't it called teen driver, technically?
Yeah, like teen driver. Teen narc.
GM, yeah.
Snitch. They call it the teen snitch. And I had the car. I'm like, I hate this car so much. And I didn't even write about the car. I just wrote about the feature because I knew if I wrote about the car, it would just been a tirade of anger.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't like that car, but I just.
There's just something about it.
Yeah. There's not even there was
it's
anything
like
wrong.
Dane Cook of cars. There's just something about it.
Dane Cook of cars.
Like you kind of just don't want to be. You're like, I don't want to be around this. I don't want to be associated with it. I don't know what it is. Just something.
Fair. That's all fair.
I hope Dane Cook doesn't listen to this. I don't know Dane Cook. He might be a nice person. Who knows?
Probably not.
I doubt it. He's probably being weird somewhere.
So there's my thoughts on the ADX. We love it, people. Go buy one. That was not my favorite car. Yeah, or not. Go buy an Integra.
Yes.
Buy an Integra. And you get a manual transmission.
Yes, exactly. You can get a 6-speed manual in the Integra.
Right.
You'll get extra pedal.
Oh, so you guys, was in an Uber and the kid he was very young and I'm like, oh, this is a car guy. He had a bright orange Civic. What is the Civic Sporty? SI with a manual transmission. It was such a pretty car, and he drove. I'm like, ooh, like you don't really find these super fun sporty cars you get picked. And I was like, oh, nice car guy. We started talking, and he's talking about this, talking about that, and he's like, wait, he's like, I talked to my girlfriend. She doesn't know anything about this. How do you know so much about cars? He's like, somebody finally appreciated my car. He was so grateful. I don't think anybody appreciated how cool his car was, and I was like, it is a cool car. Yeah. So
that is a cool car.
I liked his car. It had a really nice car. See, unlike the Malibu, which sort of like, I was like, oh, look at your sporty little Civic. I love this thing. So I had another car last week. Not last week. Last week I had the ADX. This week, still sitting in my driveway, which my neighbor really wishes that we had for Halloween because the color of this is sunset orange. It looks like a giant pumpkin. Is the Honda Passport TS Elite. So it's
not a trail sport.
No, it's here's the funny. Trail sport is the TS.
Yeah,
TS. Yeah, so it's.
Has it got recovery hooks on it?
Yes, it has the bright orange recovery hooks that match the bright orange car. Yeah, right.
Maybe they just didn't have enough room on the Monroney.
I think they couldn't fit it on the Monroney. 2026 TS. They just did TS. Abbreviation. The TS. It's cooler that way. So I really like the new Honda Passport. Like, I genuinely like this car. When we did the drive for it, I really liked it. And we took it off-road, did some off-roady stuff in Puerto Rico. And it really could go off-roading. Now, it's not like Rubicon Trail worthy off-roading, but 99% of us don't do that. But if you're just the kind of light off-roading that you typically do as someone who is just an average consumer. You're going to drive down a dirt trail here and there. You might have a dirt road. You might park for some event out in a field. If you want to do some, you have a trail that you want to go to that's not super technical, you can do it. But we had done some steep ascents and downhill the other way on sort of slippery stuff because it was very wet. It was that like very slick mud. Mm-hmm. I know mud is always slippery, but some mud is like really slippery. It was the kind of stuff like if you stepped out in the wrong spot, you'd have been on your butt. Like it was really slippery. Yeah. That certain kind. And it was great. So I was really impressed with it. I genuinely like this car. So the Trail Sport, oh God, they didn't put a price on this one. I have the other Monroney put a price. So I'm going to I thought I had it right in front of me.
$40. More.
$40? Wait.
More than 40, less than $1 million.
There we go. I was trying to find them like I had it. So first, what do you think destination is? There it is. What do you think destination?
$1350.
You're wrong.
$1450.
Sam got it. It's just Sam's week. He gets all he gets it. So the Trail Sport, there's a Trail Sport and a Trail Sport Elite. You get extra goodies on the Elite. So the Trail Sport's $48,450. The Elite is $52,450. So it's not inexpensive. Would you get, okay, for $48,450, it's slightly more than the ADX. Which one would you guys get? Have you driven both of these?
Oh gosh, I would totally get the Passport over the
absolutely
ADX.
Right?
Man, for that for that $3,000 price difference, yeah, I would absolutely take the Passport.
Right? And the way it's equipped even, like it's a different fancy. Like the Acura is designed to be a little bit more refined. The Trail Sport is like, yeah, I'm rugged, I'm burly, I'm going to take you in the dirt. It still looks better. I'd still rather buy this. Like, I love the Honda Passport is like one of my favorite cars this year. I love this one.
I'm rugged. I'm burly. I'm going to take you in the dirt.
I want to go in the dirt. So I thought this was good. So this one,
dying.
just in terms of difference of stuff, it has a 3.5-liter V6 with 285 horsepower. Look at that horsepower difference. 190 in the
gosh.
ADX, 285 in this. Holy bejesus. That's a huge difference, right? So this is far more responsive. It has a 10-speed automatic, which also adds to its nice driving, to its just the way, it accelerates smoothly. Liveliness. Yes, it's a peppy little thing.
Not so little.
Not so little. It is pretty big.
There's torque everywhere. I'm sorry.
Torque everywhere. My neighbor was looking at it, and she was like, it's fun to see what people say about a car that people know. Like, people know the Passport, right? And she's like, that looks really good. Did they change that? That looks really burly. I'm like, well, it is the off-road-ish one that they have. I like that thing. I want you to have it. It looks cool. She was like coming over and checking it out. I was at an appointment, and somebody looks out the window, and they know what I do. That orange thing has to be yours. Yes, the orange thing is mine. But then they're all at the window going, that orange thing looks pretty good. Like, everyone uniformly thought that this is a good look, like the very angular styling. So this car, it looks fantastic. I love how it looks. I think it has more than enough power. It drives beautifully. Despite its rough and ready off-road capabilities, it is still a relatively smooth car to drive. It doesn't feel like off-road true off-road vehicles. Even sometimes when they just have off-road trims, you get very bouncy on the highway. It's very rough. It's very loud. All these things. Nope. It was still well-mannered on the highway. I took it on some twisty-turny back roads near my house. Handles well on those. It doesn't feel sloppy. It feels very controlled. So I actually really enjoyed driving this. I get an extra day with it because Monday is a holiday, and I'm not sad about that. Yeah, I'm like, there's like, we're only not going to come pick up your car till Tuesday. I'm like, that's fine. That's fine. I will keep the Honda Passport TS Elite for an extra day, and it gets like. Inside, there's leather trim. They have a 12-speaker Bose audio system. It has a 12.3-inch touchscreen. It has all the things that you want, and it's like not outrageously expensive. I feel like this is a good price. And if you don't want the extra bells and whistles, $48,450, just get the regular Trail Sport. Use a couple of the little extra sort of comfort stuff if you don't go with the
You get
Elite.
the orange stripes on the seats?
Yes, it does have. It has orange. Does it have orange stripes on the seats? Wait, I'm trying to remember. I know there's orange on the seats. Now I can't remember if it's just like contrast or if it was actually stripes. I think it's just contrast.
Well, there was the one that I photographed when we were in Puerto Rico had the orange contrast stitching, and then it also had the Trail Sport logo stitched on the headrest in orange, and then orange stripes on the seat cushion and the seat back.
It does have Trail Sport logos on the seats. I don't know why I'm not remembering the orange stripe.
Yeah, okay.
But
yeah,
it just could be
pictures of a couple of different ones. They both have the orange stripe there. So,
but I love the orange. I think this. I'm a fan of this one.
Bold colors are good.
Bold colors are good. We had a conversation about that yesterday. We went up to the Seacoast and we kept seeing Mustangs. Everyone had a Mustang. A lot of them were convertibles. I don't know if it's because everybody's desperately holding on to the last days of summer and it's a holiday weekend, so there were lots of rentals. Exactly. But they were really like, we were in the one parking lot and there was a bright yellow one, a bright green one, and a bright blue. And I'm like, I love the Skittles colors for cars. And I feel like it especially works on a Mustang. But then we looked at everything else in the parking lot, like aside from these Mustangs that were glowing in the dark in the parking lot by the Lobster Shack, black, gray, white. Everything was really muted.
Rentals.
I like these. Yeah.
Probably all rentals.
So I genuinely like the Passport. I was impressed the first time I drove it in Puerto Rico. I was impressed driving it again. I just think it's a very solid vehicle, and it has lots of personality, lots of style, even if you're not going for the Trail Sport, even if you're not going for the, what did I just call it? I want to call it pumpkin. Sunset orange. It's just a good looking
Pumpkin's
car.
good.
Pumpkin. I'm going to call it pumpkin. Even if you don't get the pumpkin passport. I like that. They should just call it pumpkin. Pumpkin Passport. It's still a good looking vehicle. It's fun to drive. It's affordably priced. It has tons of room in it. It's got good capability. I mean, like, giant thumbs up for this one. This one I like. I like this one.
Yeah. No, I like the Passport too. I think it's a huge improvement over the last gen, and it does have surprisingly good ride quality and everything. I had one for the weekend in June, when we were invited to join Honda at the Detroit Grand Prix, and when they do that, they always send Hondas and Acuras out to everybody that they're hosting at the race, and so they sent me one for the weekend to drive, and it was good fun.
So I can't remember, and I'm looking because I didn't actually look to see if this one had it, but I know that it is available, and I don't see it listed on the Monroney because I didn't take this thing apart. But they also have a table in the back of some of these. I think it depends.
Yeah,
on
it's
the
an
trim.
option.
I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah. And
like the old CRVs.
Yeah,
but it's so much
the Element.
better.
Or no, you're right. It was
No,
the
it was the
CRV. that had
CRV.
it. Yeah, the first
we
gen
had
CRV.
one with,
But the one they had
table.
in the CRV was like the ricketiest of like card tables. Like think old school card table.
Yeah.
It was great. Like I loved it, but it was very thin legs on the table and a very thin table surface. The new one, they beefed it up, and the legs screw into the bottom. They have a little storage spot in the back where you can like lay them in there, and it holds the legs and the table fits in. It's much like sturdier. Like I feel like now they're like, we're not messing around. This table is a table. So mine doesn't have it, I don't think. But I love that when they had that. It again, when they did the first drive on that, I got to see that, and that was one of the things I really liked about this. Although I don't know why they just didn't put one on the CRV. Put the weedy little table back on the CRV and give us the burly table on the Passport.
I'm sure maybe they sell one through the accessories program.
They might,
aftermarket.
I'm sure, but it was part of the. If I'm remembering right, on the CRV, it was literally the load floor, wasn't it? Like so, you would have
I think
to.
so. Yeah.
So you would take that out. It's been a few years, but I thought it was a load floor that you had to take out.
There's somebody in my neighborhood that still has a first gen CRV.
Really?
I have to ask him if he's got the table.
If he has the table, you should. And then if you get the Passport, you need to do a table to table comparison. Like if yours has it, and show the difference. How this one is far sturdier than the old one in the CRV was. So yeah, Passport, big fan.
All right. Well, I had a similarly sized vehicle to the Passport that is also off-road oriented. That has slightly more capability than the Passport. It can go places a Passport can't. And that is the 2025 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. And fortunately, unlike the Tacoma TRD Pro, this one does not have the isodynamic seats. So, the seats are not like a foot thick, the seat backs, because you don't have those dampers built into the back of the seat. So, the TRD Pro 4Runners come standard with the hybrid drivetrain that you get in a bunch of the Tacomas and the Land Cruiser and the 4Runner now. So it's the 2.4 liter turbo with the Toyota hybrid, their rear wheel drive hybrid system that goes in the it's the same system basically that's in the Tundra and Sequoia as well, which is really a system that is tuned more for performance than for fuel economy. So you're not really this is not a 4Runner that's going to get you 50 miles per gallon. In fact, most of the time it's not a 4Runner that's going to get you 20 miles per gallon. It is on the Monroney, the official EPA rating is 23 miles per gallon city, 23 miles per gallon combined, 23 city, 24 highway. In the times that I've had the opportunity to drive any of these three vehicles, the 4Runner, the Tacoma, or the Land Cruiser with this powertrain in there, I have never managed to get 20 miles per gallon. In this one, I got 17 and a half, which is not great, for a mid-sized SUV, mid-sized two-row SUV. But this thing sits fairly high. It's on 33-inch all-terrain tires. Let me finish with the powertrain. In this form, in the 4Runner, it's 326 horsepower, 465 foot-pounds of torque. So performance, not an issue. 8-speed automatic transmission. Again, performance, not really an issue with this. It is it nominally, like I say, on the label gets a couple of miles per gallon better than the turbo, the same engine without the hybrid system. But in reality, in most normal driving, it doesn't really do any better. But like I say, it's got decent performance. It's with the TRD Pro package on there, you get TRD tuned Fox shocks, Fox dampers, extra ride height. It's got some custom machined control arms in the front. It's designed to have more wheel travel. So, as with the Tacoma, they've got two high-end off-road versions. There's the Trail Hunter, which has the same powertrain, but is tuned a little differently. That's the one that is designed to be the equivalent of, a Wrangler Rubicon, for, the hardcore off-road rock crawling. It's got all the locking differentials and the tires and the dampers and everything, and lots of skid plates for rock crawling. This one, the TRD Pros are designed more as the equivalent of a Ford Raptor, so more for high-speed desert running. In either case, they both do well off-road. When we did the first drive, I didn't do any off-roading while I had it this time, but when we did the first drive out in California earlier this year, we had a chance to do some rock crawling with a Trail Hunter, do some faster off-roading on dirt trails with the TRD Pro. Both very, very capable. What else? You got electronic locking rear differential, crawl control, downhill ascent control, all the stuff that you expect. Also, stabilizer bar disconnect for the front stabilizer bar, so you get a little more wheel articulation. So if you're going over, if you've got some, bigger moguls that you're trying to get over, and you want to trying to keep the wheels more in contact, the stabilizer bar disconnect helps those wheels move around independently a little bit more than they normally would. 18-inch TRD Pro wheels, the Heritage grille. It's got the LED light bar integrated into the grille, although I could not get that to actually turn on. I have to figure out. There's some combination, I think, with headlights and that LED light bar that you have to have for the light bar to actually come on. So I didn't actually get it to come on, but you get front skid plates and additional skid plates underneath the some of the other components underneath underneath this SUV. One of the things that they retained on the 4Runner this year is the slide down rear window. So if you want to carry your surfboard or anything else hanging out the back, or your paddleboard, if you got a rigid paddleboard, you can put down the rear window, or you just want a little extra airflow, you can put that down, stick that stuff out the rear window. It's got the 14-inch Toyota multimedia system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Nice big screen. Still have two knobs for temperature controls for the front, for the driver and front passenger. A volume knob for the audio, and it still has the same issue with the infotainment they've had for, since they launched this current generation, where it generally works really well. The graphics are good. It's responsive, but you can't display two things on the screen at the same time. You can have your media player, or you can have your maps, or you can have your settings, but you can't have media player and maps at the same time, which is a little bit annoying. But if you want, if you use your smartphone projection, then you can have all that stuff on screen simultaneously. What else? This one also had the optional onboard air compressor, an ARB roof rack for $1,700. The air compressor, by the way, $1,475.
Wow, you can buy an air compressor
Wow.
like $20.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that's a lot.
And you can buy a decent air compressor for $100. So, if you don't necessarily need one that's built into the truck, maybe just, go to Lowe's, or
Go to Lowe's.
somewhere and buy one?
I did a whole roundup of air compressors either on the Wall Street Journal or USA Today. So just go look that up. Go look at my name.
There you go.
One of those places, air compressors. There you go. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. What else? Let's see. This one had the digital key system, $275. Well, a bunch of options on here. With one of the advantages, even if you're not driving off road, if you live somewhere like Michigan where the roads are generally crap, having at least something with smaller wheels, taller sidewall tires, more likely to survive the potholes. So that's always a good thing. All in total price, the probably the biggest downside of the current generation of Tacomas and 4Runners, they're expensive. If you get anything but the base model, the base like SR or SR5, which are pretty close to the same price as the previous generation, all the other trims got substantially more expensive, including this 4Runner TRD Pro. Grand total, $73,523.
Oof.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's steep.
Yeah. So that's what, 25, about 25 grand more than that Passport. And if you're not actually going to be taking it on serious off-road adventures, if you just need something to, take you down the trail to a cabin or something like that, maybe consider that Passport Trail Sport. It's pretty good at that. You can handle that stuff.
Exactly.
You can handle that stuff without any real issues. If you plan to, run across the Mojave Desert, or, do the Baja 1000, okay, get the TRD Pro. But $73,500. So that's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
You want to guess at the destination charges?
$1,800.
$1,695.
Nicole's closer, $1,450.
Oh, okay.
I lost all
I
the
was going to say
way
this. I was
today.
going to say
Really
lower,
blew it.
but I was like, it felt like it should be more because the car was more about.
Yeah, but the base price of the 4Runner TRD Pro is $66,900.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, that's an expensive air compressor. That's $1,700 roof rack. Yeah, it's a lot of money for a roof rack. But if that's what you want, go for it.
Whew.
All right, let's move on to some other stuff. Let's see. So we've talked about the EV tax credits ending. As of today, you have let's see, basically you've got 30 days left nominally to buy a new EV or a used EV. If it's at least 2 years old, and you're buying it from a dealer, you can get a $4,000 tax credit on a used EV. New, you can still get up to $7,500 for the next 30 days. So September 30th is when it nominally ends. But this week we found out that the IRS has said that just as they did the last time around when they changed from the previous tax credit scheme to the IRA tax credits, there was a bunch of cars that lost eligibility for the tax credits when they switched over to the IRA. But they said, by this deadline, if you have a purchase contract in place and you've paid at least a non-refundable deposit, even if you take delivery of the car after the deadline, you can still claim the tax credit. And the same is true this time. So if you're not actually able to take delivery by September 30th, but you have a signed purchase agreement and you've paid a non-refundable deposit towards that, then you can still get the car. You can still take delivery after September 30th.
So you could take delivery. So I'm reading this, and if you had a car that isn't due to come out until next August or something, if you made one payment and you signed a contract, would you be okay? Or just put a deposit down that was non-refundable? I wonder how long it'll like.
Yeah, I don't think they're, I don't think it can, it might have to look at the actual IRA or IRS language. I think it's probably only for stuff that is available now, that's on sale now, but maybe it's in transit, from the factory or something like that.
So you couldn't do it with a Slate.
That's what
Correct.
I'm thinking. I literally was thinking Slate. That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't think it applies to anything that is not currently on sale. I think it's because that one, for the Slate, for example, because it's not, it has to be something that is on the approved list, because right now, it's got to be assembled in North America, and it's got to have a certain percentage of the battery content that is domestically sourced. And and so until the vehicle actually goes on sale, the IRS won't even consider putting it on the list. The Slate is not on the list of approved vehicles. So the list of approved vehicles you can find it on fueleconomy.gov. So so anything like the Slate or the upcoming Ford electric compact electric pickup, things like that, those you can't get those because they are not on the approved list.
Womp womp.
So it's just stuff that's out now. But still, though, that gives people October, November, December, another 3 months that their vehicle could be in transit or whatever, 4 months or whatever. If it's out now, you just pay that one payment, even if you're not getting it for a little bit, you're okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's less exciting.
Do you think that's going to change much for anybody? I think everybody was kind of banking on.
I think probably, what we'll probably see is a rush of Tesla, as they've done in the past, taking payments from customers, on September 29th, September 30th, and then delivering those vehicles sometime in October or November. So people that are ordering a new Tesla or something like that, that's probably what we'll see. Maybe a few others, but it's not gonna have a huge impact. But I think there are already signs that in August a lot of the EV sales are up significantly as people are rushing to get something before the tax credits go away. So we'll probably see a good third quarter for EV sales in the U.S. And then a pretty notable drop off in Q4 before things maybe start to pick up again a little bit in 2026.
Yeah, because everyone bought it in Q3 because they're like, I'm just gonna know.
Yeah.
Yeah, this seems more like it'll help those who do direct sales, like Tesla, Rivian, etc. Versus like going down to your local dealership and they're like, they barely want to sell you an EV anyway. So.
Unless they have one just sitting on the lot they're desperately trying to get rid of.
I will say that my dealership they were actually quite nice to me and actually quite helpful. So.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
I mean, the dealer we bought our EV6 from was great too. I mean,
yeah. So, but when we walk in, my wife usually will be like, "Oh yeah, he drives cars for a living. That's his job," and that really changes I'm pretty sure that changes everything very quickly. That I have the advantage versus the average person. So it's just I'm not going to pretend like, oh, I'm just like a regular guy because my wife it puts it into that really quickly.
Speaking of non-electric vehicles, Ineos. They have cut their prices on the Grenadier and the Quartermaster because slow sales.
Shocker.
Yeah. So the Grenadier SUV now starts at just $72,600, down by $7,900, and the Quartermaster is down to $86,000, which is $8,500 less than before. Quartermaster is the pickup. So. You ready to trade in the Wagoneer S for a Quartermaster or for a Grenadier?
No, thank you. Actually, I really like the Grenadier. I think it's fun, but it's just not.
It's not an around town. Well, it's around town if you're not going really quickly.
Yeah,
yes.
I wouldn't want a road trip in a Grenadier.
Yeah.
If I was just. That would be not fun. But I do really like it. Yeah, exactly. Robbie's bouncing around in his seat. But I do 20 love minutes it. I think it's cool. I think it's very expensive. I think it's a specific use case.
It's not
as expensive now, but
G-Wagon.
Still, what's that?
Not as expensive as a G-Wagon.
That's true. This is true.
But a G-Wagon, when you go around a corner and you release the steering wheel, the G-Wagon will self-center.
Yeah.
You don't have to crank the wheel back again to get going on a straight line.
Oh,
again.
I forgot about that. That's
they tell you.
They do warn you. They warn you about that.
They're like, we tell people this is what this is. So
I'd forgotten that they had said that was part of the experience. Yeah. I mean,
wish
I
there
do
was-
like
Yeah,
it,
it's
but
an experience, all right.
I like it. I like
them.
it for what it is. I really
That's
like it
where
for
I
what
am,
it
Robbie.
is.
I like it for
I
what
do
it is.
wish that there was a proper like dash cluster with like
Yeah.
not just check engine lights, but the
Or-
speed. Just
or
put
at
the
least-
speed there.
At least
That's all I want.
at least a decent display in the center stack. You know,
Yeah.
I don't really
it's a-
care
it's
about
a-
that.
It's a terrible display.
It's not a very good display.
No, it's a
but-
terrible display.
It's not great.
But just put the speed in the middle. I don't know why that's.
I just
You know,
love
you
how
don't
it
even need a
looks.
center display if you have so many buttons and
There are a
Well,
lot
it has
of
all these
buttons.
things. Like you don't need all those things.
There are a lot. Like I'm looking at the picture they have on this of the interior. It's like, wow, there's a lot on that interior.
I
There's a
love
lot
all
of
the.
buttons
It's like
there.
It's like you're flying a jet in the '60s.
It's supposed to look like a It has a cockpit vibe, which is
There's
good
more on the top. There's click,
and
click,
bad,
click, click, tick, tick, tick,
because there's
tick.
a lot of buttons.
You have a checkpoint. You have a checklist like you're on a plane.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to do that when I turn on the car.
Well,
Yeah, exactly. Mhm.
Click, click, click. You got to file
I
a
want
driver.
Ineos to survive, but it's one of the many smaller, less car companies that I worry
They're-
about being
They
here.
got a big pile of cash behind
I
them.
know they have a big pile of cash,
It's literally until the rich people who own it get
Well,
bored. That's
but
it.
that's
the
it, right?
entire-
So
that's
if
the
they get
entire-
bored, goodbye Ineos. Goodbye Ineos.
Yeah.
You could get bored if you have enough money to start a car company. You could then be like, I want to start I don't know,
boat
a private
company.
jet company, a boat company,
Yeah,
tequila. Everyone seems to start a liquor
a
company.
tequila
right?
company,
Tequila,
Yeah.
their own special whiskey. I don't know.
a clothing line.
They already have. Do they have clothing? No, they have they have a partnership.
Well, they're
am I thinking?
petroleum, so they probably have some sort of clothing.
Yeah, they're a
something.
giant corporation, so they
Well,
probably have all that stuff
They're doing
already.
all right.
And Ineos also owns a 1/3 stake in the Mercedes Formula One team. So they've got all they've got all the Mercedes F1 merch. So they're gaining from that.
They're doing fine.
Yeah,
They're doing fine. I hope they stick
They
around.
can-
I like the folks at
They can
Ineos.
sell
They were
all
fun.
of these at a loss and still be like,
And
whatever.
still be like, oh, why not?
At this point, I'm pretty sure they are selling all of them at a loss because
right?
even with this this price drop, the the SUV, the Grenadier, has a 27.5% tariff rate on it right now. And then the Quartermaster, because it's a pickup truck, also has the chicken tax on top of that. So you got another 25%. So it's got a 52.5% tariff on the Quartermaster.
Which I
It's
don't
a
know.
lot.
If people are just going to get the Grenadier anyway.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I've driven them both. Wonderful off road. If you know what you're doing, good enough on the road.
I think I think most of these are probably being driven around town, by the same kind of customers that would buy a G-Wagon.
It's an Instagram car.
Yeah, but want something, it's like all my neighbors have G-Wagons. I want something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just slightly different. And so they get the Quartermaster.
It's not a run-of-the-mill G-Wagon like everybody has.
I
Yeah.
talked to them about it. I'm like, this is either an Instagram car or it's somebody who lives in like Alaska and lives off the grid and has a lot of angry ramblings about the government.
All right. Next up, we got the Volvo XC70, which is slightly smaller than an XC90, larger than an XC60, hence the 70.
The nesting
yeah.
dolls of SUVs, every size you can get.
Midsize 2-row. This one was developed in China with the folks with the team, the Geely team, and it's targeted primarily at the Chinese market, and it is Volvo's first long-range plug-in hybrid. They're referring to it as a plug-in hybrid. I've reached out to Volvo to try and get some clarity on exactly what the powertrain is in this thing, because none of the stuff that they've released so far has any detail about the powertrain. Is this the same kind of plug-in hybrid architecture as the other Volvos, where you've got an internal combustion engine, transmission driving the front wheels, electric motor on the rear axle driving the rear wheels, Or is this more of an extended range EV where the engine only drives a generator? We don't know. But it's based on a new scalable modular architecture, which is being shared with other Geely brands. And in China, it is rated, has an electric driving range of 200 kilometers under the CLTC driving cycle. So that's about 120 miles. And
that's a long range. That's a
lot.
And
that's the China light duty test cycle, which is, shall we say, optimistic.
Yeah.
So that 120 miles, real world is probably more like 70 to 80 miles.
Which is still significant for a plug-in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's double, that would be double what you would get with an XC60 or XC90 plug-in hybrid. Those will do about 34, 35 miles on a charge. But, I'm still trying to find out from Volvo, exactly what this powertrain architecture is, because if it is more of an EREV, then that would make it a lot easier to do that full range driving electrically alone. Because with an XC9, with the current XC90, XC60, you kind of got to be fairly light on the throttle if you want to keep it in electric mode. Right now, there's no indication that they're going to bring this to the North American market, although it sounds like they are going to offer it in Europe, but it's launching in China. And it's the styling, is pretty similar to the other current generation Volvos. It looks like a slightly smaller EX90.
Looks like a Volvo.
Yep. Looks like a modern Volvo.
It looks good. It's an attractive looking car and it's a neat idea. But he said, we're not going to get it. It looks like it's China for now with plans for Europe at a later stage. I don't know what that means, but eventually Europe.
Yeah. So let's see. What else? What's next? Back to EVs. GM has apparently cut production at its Detroit Hamtramck assembly plant, which they refer to as Factory Zero. This is the factory in Detroit where they build the Hummers, the Hummer EVs, and the Silverado and Sierra EVs, and the Cadillac Escalade IQ. They have apparently cut one of the two shifts, at least for now. Most likely, they have built enough vehicles to get them through whatever increase in demand that they have right now, until the end of September. And they probably realize that there's probably going to be a reduction in demand from October 1st. And so they're cutting production for a while. And then they'll probably wait and see what happens before they call back those workers and resume that production.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how this rolls with the EV tax credit going away. I feel like a lot of people who are super interested in EVs have already said, okay, we pull the trigger now or we don't at all. So I feel like a lot of those people have already committed. And I just wonder I'm really curious how much sales are going to drop off. Like if it's going to be if we're really going to see things fall off a cliff, or if that's not really enough for most people to keep them from buying EVs. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Tesla kept selling cars after they lost access to the EV credits years ago. So I think there's for a certain section of the people, they're still going to continue to buy EVs. The Silverado EV had a huge marketing problem. First of all, they put out a press release that said we're getting rid of the Bolt and we're going to build a Silverado. We're like, well, what are you doing? That's
those are not comparable.
That's tone deaf. The Hummer EV was never going to be a huge seller.
No.
So I think they're not talking about the Blazer here. They're not talking about the Lyriq. They're not talking about the Equinox. I think more and more people when I had the Silverado EV, I had people come up to me, like, did you buy that? And I'm like, oh no, I'm automotive, blah blah blah, the thing you always tell everybody. And they're like, it starts at $100,000.
No, I'm just a drug dealer.
I'm just a drug dealer. But they're like, it starts at $100,000, which isn't true, but was true for a little while. Mm-hmm. And that's what people think when they see those
that's
vehicles.
stuck in everyone's head, and they haven't been able to
That's stuck in everyone's head is that this vehicle starts at $100,000, and it really, they're like, oh, it's not selling as well as it it should. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of your fault. You
Mhm.
kind of blew it, and
Market a vehicle wrong, and shocker, it won't sell.
yeah, so that's stuck in everyone's head. So I think there's I think GM sort of blew it, and also again, big trucks. That market is vroom vroom truck rah. Outside, I see
Yeah.
a lot of Silverado EVs in fleets. Like Caltrans has them, like
Okay.
government fleets up here and in
Mhm.
California. I see them in fleets, which okay, cool. You're selling those in fleets. I still think the F-150 is a better vehicle just because you can take everything from a regular F-150 and throw it on a Lightning and just keep doing your job.
Keep doing your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's these are very. I think we need to move away from just keep throwing giant, expensive, over $100,000 EVs into the market and then wondering why people aren't buying them.
Why people don't buy them? Because not everyone can afford or wants or needs
Yeah.
a $100,000 car. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot of
I
money
think
for a
that's-
car.
yeah.
Although, a couple weeks ago we were out at the lake, and when the DNR Rangers, Michigan Department of Natural Resources Rangers, did their periodic circulation through the lot there, they were driving a Silverado EV work truck, and now when they launched, you had the work truck, the Silverado work truck for like mid-50s price range, and then the RST, which was like $94,000. Now there are a bunch of other options available with different size batteries and different option packages. So you can get, the LT standard range version starting at 63 grand. The extended range is 71. And the max range is still 91,000. And they've got the Trail Boss now as well. So there are, it's by no means cheap or affordable,
Yeah.
but there are less expensive variants that are available at retail now. So
Yeah,
I think
they
a
just
lot
haven't
of
done
them,
a good job like marketing that though. People
Yeah.
still think it's $100,000 truck
They
whenever
do.
I drive around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's move on. So non-electric trucks, you got the Ram 1500. This week they started shipping the 2026 Ram 1500 Hemis again. So they're on their way to dealerships. So if you insist on paying more for less power and worse fuel economy, Ram's got you covered.
Have at it.
You can go to your local Ram dealer and pick up a Ram 1500 with a 5.7 liter Hemi in it, because boy, it sounds much better.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
man.
you can say it's silly, and it is silly, but they sold what's the number here? Since they announced it in June, they've had 10,000 orders in the first 24 hours.
It's just the branding, man.
Right.
Hemi's
So
got great branding.
right.
That's-
So it's like
that's it.
it might not be technically it's silly, but 10,000 orders in 24 hours says it's a
Yeah.
smart move.
You don't-
I'll be very curious to look at what the numbers look like at the end of the year for the different variants. See how that breaks down.
Yeah.
I looked at the YouTube comments for Tim's whatever, something about the trucks or whatever in Hemi. One of his yoo-hoo, woohoo, America, like flag waving things that he says. And like all the comments were like, yeah, bring back the Hemi, woo, Hemi. And I'm like, people, wait. You know what?
Stop, everyone. Hold on a second. We're not listening. Okay.
Hemi, it's great branding. If that's what keeps you,
If that's what people want, give it
Hey,
to
keep
them.
your-
Pays the bills.
keeps your car company alive. Again, the Ram 1500 was the nicest riding trucks out there. Outside.
Oh
the,
yeah,
like,
I mean
the
it has
Lightning.
been
It
for a
is.
long time.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, outside the Lightning's probably right up there with it, just because it's an EV. But no, it drives really nice, and everyone's that's their. So if you want a Hemi, you want a little less power, but it drives real nice. Boom,
Go, Hemi,
1500.
go. Yep.
All right.
Hemi.
Stellantis also went to the Overland Expo Mountain West in Colorado last week, and they brought a new concept vehicle with them, which is probably not what most people expected to see there. They brought the new Pacifica Grizzly Peak concept. It's an off-road sort of off-road version of the, I mean, they've got to do off-roady versions of everything else now. So why not a minivan? So
I support this 1,000%, by the way. More than like most of the SUVs. Like this makes more sense. I want to camp inside. I want a funny little bear badge.
I mean, this would absolutely be better for camping, and way better than an SUV. It would be a much better choice for that. So they lifted the suspension. They took a limited all-wheel drive, lifted the front suspension by 2.75 inches, 2.5 inches in the rear, put on 31-inch Goodrich KO2 all-terrain tires. It's got this fancy roof storage rack, some auxiliary LED lighting, a retractable awning, roof-mounted retractable awning, fog lamp pods, a protective wrap on the lower part of the body, and splash guards and a bunch of stuff on the interior as well.
I have exactly one gripe with their choice of this car.
Yes.
We have given our off-road minivan, which is in the dirt with children, presumably, a very light gray interior seats. The seats, they call them cement gray. They almost look white.
Oh,
because
no, that's
what I want with my kids in the dirt.
After they're in the dirt, yeah, this is a bad scene.
Everything is cool. I was like, what? What are you guys doing? Like, it's such a cool concept, but that threw me. I was like,
close.
Even without kids, if it was just adults, you're still going to get dirty.
White.
Yeah.
White. Now, the floor is at least black, but the seats are, again, cement gray. They're white. They are so light. They're white.
So close. You almost had it.
You almost had it, guys. But I do like the badge. Did you see the little bear badge?
It's got a little bear.
Yeah. The little grizzly concept. I'm like,
orange seatbelts.
I know the orange seatbelts are cool. That also gets like a gold star. Orange seatbelts. Colored seatbelts are cool.
This car should be a different color.
Yes.
But other than that,
it should be pumpkin orange.
It should be pumpkin orange. This should be pumpkin orange.
What did they say with the exterior color? It's just gray. It's gray.
It's probably like slate.
Is it also cement? Let's see.
Something. Cement. Yeah, that's why would you call something
Arctos? Wait, it's called Arctos. ARKTOS matte finish paint with foreshadow accents.
Oh, because the thing you really want when you're going off road is matte finish paint.
How do you gotta wash the?
Okay.
Well, keep in mind, this is a concept.
It's not a real thing.
It's meant to get people's attention at this show. Where
it should have been orange.
If you want, I'll include a video from TFL where they do a walk around at Overland Expo. Some of the crazy rigs that they have there it's bonkers. It's the kind of stuff that my neighbor's been building. Which is he bought an F550 chassis cab and put a big bed on it and liquid spring suspension.
Oh yeah,
and he's got a big camper that goes on the back. Yeah, I mean there's some just insane rigs that show up at Overland Expo, and it's also all the companies that make all this gear for upfitting your vehicles. So this is purely a concept for now. But
it's super cool. Like the idea of this is very, very cool.
Yeah.
I would just change the color a little bit.
If they're going to keep the Chrysler brand alive for a while,
do something.
And all they have is minivans to sell.
All they have is one car.
You might as well do something like this. That's gonna at least if you can sell it, get some better margins on it, and get a few more people into minivans.
I mean, you think about how the off-road thing, like once upon a time, it was all like performance versions of sports cars is what was the iteration that everyone, now it's all the off-road version of SUVs. Like, let's give an off-road version of a minivan and see what happens.
Oh, I know. It should be Tuscadero pink, like they had on the Wrangler.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be awesome. Can you imagine rolling up to carpool in that thing?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That would rock.
That would be amazing.
Tuscadero pink.
Concept color scheme. All right.
Well, back to orange.
A pumpkin.
Mercedes took their AMG GT XX concept to the Nardo test track in southern Italy recently. So this is kind of a next generation of the AMG GT 4-door. And there's a production version of this coming next year, I think.
That sounds right.
I think so. And they took it to Nardo and set a bunch of records with this thing. 25 different long distance records. They ran for 8 days.
Wow.
Or 7 days and 13 hours. They ran for. Set 25 distance records, and this is an EV. It's equipped with 3 axial flux motors, which is a different design of electric motor that produces more power and torque. And the AMG is probably going to be one of the first production vehicles to use this type of motor. Over 1,340 horsepower in this thing. Over the course of a little over 7.5 days, they ran a grand total of 40,000 kilometers, so about 24,000 miles.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's
Basically
a
just
lot.
stopping to charge and swap drivers periodically. In one 24-hour period, what was the distance here for that?
This is a huge team of drivers too.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Well,
11,
they were running
12, 13, 14.
Yeah, I mean, Nardo is
17.
Nardo is this giant circular track. It's about 6 miles across, and or 6 miles around, I should say. And companies use it for maximum speed testing. So they were running, just flat out, and it's a high banked track. They ran 5,478 kilometers. So over almost 4,000 miles in a single 24-hour period.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So they were cranking up the miles on this thing.
This is an impressive little feat that they did here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very
cool.
very fast charging on there. They were charging at 850 kilowatts.
Wow.
Wowza.
Yeah. In just 5 minutes, it can recharge enough energy for a range of around 400 kilometers. So that's about 250 miles.
So there's just enough time for someone to get out, get in, and go.
Pretty much.
That's just gas. 5 minutes is gas.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Lucid is apparently doing some updates for 2026. They're launching a rear-wheel drive version of the Gravity. And hopefully Gravities will actually start getting to customers soon. Because there hasn't been many of those yet.
You got to build them.
Yeah.
Get them out there.
Well, apparently there's a bunch of them built that they haven't delivered yet.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
So you're only as fast as your slowest supply.
Yeah. And they're also doing some updates to the Air for 2026. They've upgraded the battery. So the standard range battery now is 92 kilowatt hour pack. I think it was about 84 or 88 before. It pops they've got newer, higher density cells in there, 431 miles of range with the rear wheel drive. So that's 25 more than before.
So many miles.
And yeah. And we mentioned before that they now have compatibility with superchargers, although you probably want to avoid charging in air at a supercharger. It's fine with the Gravity because they changed the way the charging system works on that from the Air, but the Gravity or the Air, it's got to do a funky thing with actually taking the DC from the supercharger and then converting that to AC and charging over the AC circuitry, and it only charges at about 40 kilowatts if you're charging from a supercharger. So not really worth it if you can avoid it.
Not what you want to do.
Yeah, they'll fix that. There'll have to be an update at some point for that, obviously. But they're doing the same thing with the Gravity that Hyundai is doing, where they're using the motor to do so it actually charges quicker. But still not as quick as just going to DC fast charging, and literally everywhere else who hasn't decided if 500 kilowatts is how much, what we want our charging setup to be.
Yeah. And then Toyota announced that they were partnering up with Hyundai on some robotics work. So Hyundai owns Boston Robotics, which is the company behind the Atlas humanoid robot that's been dancing around for more than a decade.
The scary robot dog.
Doing all kinds of parkour and
Parkour.
Yeah, and also the Spot, the as you said, the scary robot dog that Hyundai is actually using to do quality control in their meta plant in Savannah.
That Spot looks smaller. Wasn't there a really big version of the Boston Dynamics dog at one point that was like
no
big and good? I thought there was a bigger one.
It is so. I've seen the dog working at the plant in Singapore.
Yeah.
And so it walks up to something and then it looks up to double check it, and then it opens like its mouth to look at it. And I'm like, that's so terrifying. It's like, rah, rah, and then it kind of bounces over. Rah. It's the opening of the mouth, or it's not a mouth, obviously, but the opening of something that on the end of its head to take a picture that makes it just a little bit more creepy.
It's a little creepy. Yeah.
So they've got the latest version of Atlas, the humanoid robot, or bipedal robot. Let's call it that, because it's not really humanoid.
Bipedal.
This is not
That's
like
very engineering of you. Bipedal is what we're calling it.
A two-legged stand-up robot. And they're working with the team from Toyota Research Institute, and TRI has developed some new AI models, something they call a large behavior model. And so Boston Robotics is going to incorporate the AI stuff that TRI has been working on into the control strategy for the robots. So that should make them even scarier.
Yay, finally.
Oh, by the way, I'm not wrong. What I'm thinking of is Boston Dynamics has something called the Big Dog.
Oh, yeah.
That's the scary one. That's the one I was thinking that's horrifying. It was made to, like, I don't know, like an off-road mobility
That's the one that they
dog.
kicked, isn't it?
I think so.
There's like video of it's like someone from Boston Dynamics kicking the dog to show that it can't like get knocked over. Like they kicked it really hard. I'm like, oh, you're the first guy in the robot.
I know,
Big
like
Dog
Skynet's coming for you, buddy. Big Dog is scary.
Yeah. Big Dog's
That's the one I was thinking of. I'm like, that terrifies me. Even Googling it now, I'm like, I swear there was a big one. Big Dog.
Yeah,
Big Dog. Black Mirror.
Big Dog's about the size of a donkey.
Yeah, Big Dog is big and he's scary. He's not like Spot. Spot is cute except when he opens his mouth and looks like he's going to bite your head off. But Big Dog is just scary, just sitting there.
All right, Robbie, you paid a visit to our friends at Slate.
I
Tell us about that.
I went. I got on a plane. I got on another plane, and then I went to Warsaw, Indiana, a small town in northernish Indiana, and then I went to the Warsaw plant, which used to be a printing plant. So this plant, it was our Donnelly and Sons Printing in Warsaw, Indiana. They used to print the J.C. Penney catalogs, the Sears catalog, my favorite, the Radio Shack catalog. The Sears catalog. I hope they did the Sears Christmas catalogs, because my grandmother would send us that, and we could pick something every year.
Mark all the pages.
Yeah, and so, but we were really weird kids, Anyway. So we trekked on out to there, and I talked to Chris Barman, and I talked to the CEO, the North American president of SK On, which I kept referring to as SK1, even though I know it's SK On. And I had to apologize. I'm like, I would say one, and then I'm sorry, it's on. No, it's just one step closer to what, Slate says they're going to do. In a year from now, they're going to start production at this facility. Right now, there's really nothing in there. It's just a big empty facility. They still have to put everything in there. They put the lines in. You got to do tooling. They have 1 year to pull all this off if they're going to start production in Q4 of 2026. and it's a, it's a 1.4 million square foot facility, which is actually too small for an average car. There's just not enough room, but they're not doing stamping. They don't have a paint shop. They don't have, there's, instead of, they talked about how, the average pickup has 5,000 to 6,000 parts. This vehicle only has 600 parts. And so, when you really break that down, like, oh, it's going to be cheaper because of less parts, but it's that having fewer parts pays off in dividends for everything. That means you have fewer suppliers you have to deal with. You have fewer invoices. You have fewer, inventory. You have small, all these things just keep making the vehicle cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I did ask about the Ford. I asked the CEO, Chris Barman, about the upcoming Ford, and I can read it exactly what she said. Quote, "We've been working to solve the affordability problem, but in a very different way and in a different approach. We think that what we're bringing to offer to the market is different from what Ford is doing, and we think there are going to be a lot of people out there that love the fact they can get to a blank slate, and over time, they can accessorize it to become what they want it to be," which is sort of the big sort of selling point when I talk to regular people about this vehicle. I find it very interesting. People either A, have no idea what I'm talking about when I mention Slate, or B, they're extremely excited. And these are just regular people. This is the automotive press. They're like, oh my God, this is, people are hungry for an inexpensive EV that doesn't have all the other things that, to be honest, I don't think most people are really using. And so,
nobody uses the radio.
That's it. Well, you can put it. Well, here's the thing: is if you have a whole generation of people who did aftermarket installs for years. I mean, that was one of my deals. Was I would put in car stereos, and I had a big car stereo in my Honda Civic. I could 3D print a DIN holder and then put it in there, and boom, now I have my car stereo. It's very much a DIY car. They're very upfront about that. They talked about how, working with the local, state, and government in order to get the place up and running. It was interesting that they had a congressperson, House representative, who voted for the big beautiful bill, but who was a champion of Slate. I'm like, well, that's okay, fine.
I mean that is pretty much standard operating procedure. Whenever you go to the launch of any factory, car factory or anything else, I've seen this for nearly 20 years now. Every local, state, and federal politician that is in any way related to it, and particularly the ones that voted against the funding that made this happen in the first place, they will still show up and take credit for it being there in their district because they want to be there, for the people that are voting to say, hey, look, we brought jobs to our district, but you voted against the funding that made this possible. Yeah, but we brought jobs to our district. They're all a bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah. So it's Slate says they're going to have up to over 2,000 new jobs for the area, which is great. The facilities near train lines. It was a hub where they had to send out stuff, those magazines, those catalogs out to all over the country. So it does make sense. They're not too far from Michigan and Detroit. Yeah, no, it was, again, any automotive startup, you always have to be like, well, we'll see. And that's still where I am with Slate. To be honest, that's where I am right now with Ford and their tiny trucks. So the tiny truck things, I'm like, well, let's see. They did still no pricing. I know people are always asking me, well, how much is it going to cost? How much does it cost for a wrap? How much is this? They just put up a thing that said mid-20s. 26, 27 is a mid-20. And so next year we've seen the vehicle, and the wraps, I believe, are going to be like, I heard this is not, probably not going to be, this isn't official, but probably about $500 for a wrap.
Yeah, I think that's what they said at the launch.
Yeah, so that's really cheap compared to your average wrap, and then they just send it to you and like you read video and you can wrap your own car. So it'll be, again, I still think it's a very interesting vehicle. It really scratches an itch that I have about having a very inexpensive EV that I can do whatever I want to. I can 3D print stuff for it. I don't have to, it's when if the Ford electric truck shows up, what it shows up as, that's what it is forever. You can do software updates, you can do, add some accessories on, but that's what it is. The Slate shows up to your house, you're like, okay, I got a truck. You know what? I need an SUV. No, I want an open air where I just have the roll cage in the back and seats. So I want to go to the beach and have my friends jump in the back like we're, I don't know, in an 80s surf rom-com. I don't know, teen movie. Well, yeah, you can just sort of, and it's all, you don't have to do it like when you get the car. You can just add things as you have more money, as you find that your life has changed. It's still just a two-door vehicle. I think that's one of the things that I think some people are going to be a little like, ooh. But to be honest, we all drove a lot of two-door vehicles up until like the 2000s when everyone's like, you know what? Every car should have 4 doors. It should be easy to get in and out of the car. You shouldn't have to put the seat forward. So, yeah, no, let's see. Do I have any other things? No, that's probably about it. Yeah, we got a year. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting year. When I heard about the IRS thing, I thought, well, maybe this will help Slate. The thing is that now everyone's on the same playing field. But before, everyone had if you were under a certain price point, if you made a certain amount of money, you can get the tax credit. Now that's gone. People who are maybe on their second EV, they're just going to buy that EV still. They bought the EV, they're probably just going to buy another one. There are people who are still like, I still want an EV, but I want something inexpensive. So I think Slate, the Leaf, the Bolt, and potentially this Ford, if Ford can keep the price down and not raise it 36% like it did with the Maverick, or is it 38%? Whatever.
Well, that's not till the second model year.
Yeah, second model year. So if you do want that Ford, you should get it like right away because it's going to go up. The price is going to. And who knows? I mean, at Slate might, no one will talk about tariffs because no one wants to, they don't want to talk about politics, but B, they just don't want to get in the crosshairs of this administration because it's a vindictive administration. If you say, well, tariffs are making our things go up, suddenly you have, problems. So many problems, which is unfortunate. That's not how the government should work. You should be able to say, yeah, they did this and now it's going to cost us a lot of money. And the government should be like, well, sucks to be you, as opposed to, you know what? I'm going to make a point of going after you.
So with the, they're not going to have a stamping shop in the factory.
No stamping.
Are they going to do the welding? So are they going to get the stampings from a supplier and weld that up in the factory? Are they going to have a body shop in there or?
I'm assuming we didn't get that far with that. We didn't get that much information, unfortunately. Okay. Or I didn't get it. I had to leave early. I didn't, because I had to go see the Pixies.
Well, you got to have your priorities.
I did my interviews with the president of SK On and the CEO of Slate, and I stayed there, and I was there for the presentation, and I saw the outside of the factory, and then I said, okay, so what's inside the factory? Is it just a big empty space? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, I should go then because I have a 2:00 flight. It's now 12:30. They're like, yeah, you'll be fine. You can go. So
yeah. I mean, at this stage, I mean, it's like when I visited the Ford Marshall battery plant, it is mostly at the time, it was still mostly an empty building apart from all the air handling equipment and the utilities were in there, but none of the production equipment was installed yet. That's actually now being installed. But yeah, I think over the next probably 6 to 9 months, they'll get that equipment installed. If they want to start production, in Q4 of next year, they're gonna have to have that stuff installed by at least early summer of next year to go through pilot production and get everything debugged and everything.
Yeah, I really think this is like they probably started doing stuff as soon as we all left.
Yeah,
because you can't have people in there while you're doing that.
No,
because you would have to stop what you're doing. Create a path where people aren't going to electrocute themselves or get smashed by something. Make everyone wear a hard hat, do all the high vis, the whole shebang. It's the value of that is like, oh, look at stuff.
Yeah.
It's cool to do factory tours, but it's also
it's more cool when the factory is actually finished.
Yeah,
and
it's a
there's stuff
factory.
happening.
Yeah, as opposed to big space.
Yeah, big empty space is cool. We know you have the space. Good for you. I know they worked really hard trying to find a space. I ask because the CEO, she's from Indiana. So I'm like, does it have it? She's like, no, I didn't have any, it just happened. This just happened to be the place. What's cool is that
since JCPenney's not printing catalogs anymore, that space was available.
Yeah, the space was available. So the room that we were in, the sort of gathering room, they want to make that a customer service sort of center. But they were also talking about like you could take delivery of your Slate from the factory.
If you do that, will they waive the delivery charge?
I asked. They have not gotten. They're like, we got to check on that because if they do, like if it's $1,500, you're like, well, if I get the higher battery one, I could fly out to Indiana, take it, for a couple $100, and then drive my Slate across country. Realize I didn't bring a Bluetooth like speaker, and then like just sing to myself like that.
But if you've flown from SFO out to Warsaw, Indiana, chances are you've got some earbuds. I can't imagine you got on an airplane without earbuds.
I forgot. You know what? I forgot my earbuds getting on the plane because I refused to buy them, and then my wife bought me some, but I forgot them. So I forget them a lot because they're a relatively new thing. Mostly, and also you can't use Bluetooth to like make music because of the latency.
That's true.
I do a lot of So if I'm on a plane, I'm either writing or I'm trying to like work on music stuff, and yeah.
All right. Let's wrap up with a couple of listener emails. Well, first off, before we do that, Nicole, are there any Wagoneer S updates? Is there anything we should know about?
No, I've been driving it for a couple weeks now since I last got it back, and I've had no problems. I took it on a road trip yesterday up to Portsmouth. I took it on a road trip like a week or so before that. I started it and stopped it many times. And
it restarted every time?
And it restarted every time. Actually, I have to be honest, this is the hard thing. I really love this car. Just it needs to go. Like it needs to function. It needs to do the going part. So far, so good. So and in fact, I was with my brother-in-law and his wife and a friend of theirs, and we all piled in and went on a road trip yesterday. And he was asking about the car, and I was telling him, he's like, "Wait, are you telling me you're taking us all the way up to the seacoast in a car you're not confident will start?" I'm like, maybe, maybe, John. Let's see how this goes.
I'm taking you all the way there. Whether we get back is another question entirely.
I definitely am taking you there, whether we return together in one vehicle. But it was fine, and it was actually really nice to drive. It was a nice road trip, and it was really, I really enjoyed it. I am very torn about this car. I know the reliability here has been garbage, but I really enjoyed driving it, and I'm trying to think if I got a different car, what I would get. And the thing is, nothing else is singing to me the way this was. So for the moment, I'm still in the Wagoneer S, and it is still it's functioning just perfectly.
All speakers working and everything too?
All the random speaker that stopped working started working. So everything, the speakers work. I still have to have I have an appointment or scheduled to get the body damage fixed when they towed it and they screwed it up, because apparently it's incredibly hard to get parts for this car. They just don't have a lot of parts. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be, you can't really tell unless you know the parts are missing on the bottom, because it really evenly ripped the black plastic trim off in one fell swoop. So unless you know it's missing, you don't know it's missing. So yeah, so I have that to fix. But otherwise, the Wagoneer S is doing just fine right now, and I'm enjoying it. Hopefully I say the same thing next week. We'll see.
I think this is wood. I'm going to knock on it for you.
Yeah, thank you. I have a wood desk too. Yeah.
I'll just
Everybody listening, knock on wood for me, please.
Everyone's dog is freaking out now. Sorry.
Okay. Emails. Andy in New Jersey. What do you think about the longevity of Android Automotive in new cars? I picked up my first EV 2 years ago, and one of the contenders was the Polestar 2. One of the main reasons I didn't pick this car was because of Android Automotive and the worry that Google would get bored of it and discontinue it like they're famous for doing. Google discontinuing products? I don't think that's ever happened, is it?
Google will, first of all, Google will say yes to everything, and then once they're like a bunch of people are using it, they're like, yeah, we don't want to do that no more.
We changed our mind.
We changed our mind.
We're all still using Google Reader, right?
Wave. Whatever the messaging is called now, they've changed the name like 15 times.
Well, Google, I have Google Meet and Google Chat on my phone and on my MacBook.
No. You're not even sure which one to use, are you? Google Music was the best music player when it came out. Google Music because you could stream music, plus you could have your own music in there. So you could have like playlists with streamed songs plus your own songs. It was really easy to use. It wasn't to have all this stupid whiz bang features that makes it impossible to manage. It was amazing, and they killed it for YouTube Music, and YouTube Music's crap. It was the best. R.I.P. Google Music. So I get it, Andy. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, continuing on, Andy says it's looking more and more looking like more and more cars are going with Android Automotive though. Are they getting enough tracking info from it to keep it going? I'm in an almost exclusively Apple ecosystem, and if it wasn't for YouTube, I wouldn't even have a Google account. Keep up the great work.
We think so. I guess. I mean, they have. See, here's the thing: is like all those other things. It was just Google. They didn't have partnerships. They didn't have contracts. They didn't have like there has to be some sort of. In order for automakers to use it, they have to have something from Google that says they're going to support this for 10, 15, whatever. I don't know what the contracts say, but I hope that they set it up like you have to support these vehicles for at least 15 years.
And automakers are paying Google to use Google Automotive Services. So, Maps and Google Assistant and the Play Store, for the automakers that are using Google services, they are paying Google a fee to do that. That's why, for example, there are some cars like the Nissan Kicks, where the base version of the Kicks does not have Android Automotive System. It's got the same hardware underneath, but it's using Nissan's own in-house infotainment system. Stop. my phone. Google Gemini just woke up on my phone and
I'm sorry.
It thought I was asking it a question. Anyway, so because of the price point of the base Kicks, Nissan opted not to include Android Automotive and Google services on that version of it. If you get the other trim levels, so that's on the SR, I think, or no, the S, and the SV and SR trims have the Google services because those are a little more expensive, and Nissan has factored in the cost of that to the price point. And the same is true for other automakers that are using the Google services. So Google is getting some revenue for this, at least for the companies that are using Google services like Polestar. So hopefully that'll be enough to keep them in the game. And as you said, hopefully their contracts with the automakers, the automakers are saying, if we're going to use this, you have to continue supporting this for at least the next 15 years or whatever.
Yeah. So all right. Yeah. Again, or you can just get the Slate like me and not have to worry about it. No modem. They can't track you. Yeah. They can't track you, Andy. I got a lot of thoughts about no modem. I'm very excited about that.
All right. And then we also got a follow-up email from John W., who we talked about, answered his question last week about adapters, charging adapters. He despite Nicole's horror stories, Nicole, I don't know if you listened to this, but he went ahead and leased a Wagoneer S as well. And using the Free to Move app for charging was less than magical. But the follow-up here says, thanks again for pointing me in the right direction with the adapter. It was a big help, and I really appreciate you being such a valuable resource. So, I recommended a couple of NACS to CCS adapters. And it says, I did run into one snag I was hopeful you could clarify. When I try to locate a nearby Tesla superchargers through the app, that's the Tesla app, none of the stations close to my house, like Wawa or other local spots, and John lives somewhere in the general vicinity of Philadelphia, are showing up as available. The only ones appearing are 10 to 20 miles out. And I was looking at the supercharger map, and for some reason, there's a whole bunch of superchargers across the Delaware River in New Jersey, but not so many on the Pennsylvania side of the river. Not sure why that is, but anyway. And also in the app, the Jeep Avenger, which isn't even sold here in the U.S., is the only Jeep listed. Do you use the Free to Move app, Nicole?
I haven't used it. Honestly, I have not used the Free to Move app. So
Okay.
I have no experience with that, so I can't say anything. Yeah.
So they've apparently Stellantis has not apparently updated the app to include the Avenger, or I don't know if I haven't looked at it. I don't know if the Charger is listed in there either. And when I tried entering a generic vehicle in the profile with 300 miles of range, I still couldn't get the local stations to populate. Am I limited in my ability to use the superchargers with this car, even though I have the adapter, or is there a tip or trick I might be missing on the setup side? So I think what's happening here is that most of the chargers that are in John's vicinity that are not showing up in the app are probably older version 2 superchargers, because those do not support charging non-Tesla vehicles. That Tesla has decided, we're not going to update the software in those vehicles to support non-Tesla vehicles. They're only the version 3 and version 4 dispensers are compatible with non-Teslas. So that would be my speculation about what's happening, why they're not showing up. Because in the Tesla app, if you select, that you're charging another EV, it'll only show you the chargers that are actually compatible with charging a non-Tesla vehicle. Robbie, you got any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's they might just be older chargers. So they're not the number 3 or the yeah. So that's probably the issue. Um and this is I'm assuming he also looked in the Tesla app when he says he used that app. So that would give us the most up-to-date information for that. Yeah, I'm clicking around Philadelphia right now with chargers, and I'm seeing a lot of so tell me what
there's a whole cluster of them across the Delaware River in New Jersey, but not so many on the Pennsylvania side.
No, they're just they might, some of them are getting, I would hope, Tesla makes money when people plug into their charging stations. So I think, these really, they're just going to replace the box and not to replace the back end, the big giant.
The cabinets.
Yeah. It was another word, but I couldn't remember it.
He's making this big motion.
I had my hands all open, like really wide. But yeah, so yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, it's sort of the crux of being like an early, getting those chargers out as quickly as possible is that, they had different versions and they worked for the Teslas, and now that they're trying to work with other ones, and they're probably not going to work. I don't know what the other charging situation is around your area. EVgo, Electrify America. Typically, those are cheaper than the Tesla chargers.
Yeah.
To be honest, they're usually
Tesla charges non-premium for non-Tesla drivers.
Yeah, it's like 10 cents more sometimes per kilowatt hour, which is you're putting a 50 kilowatt hours. That's $5 more for your vehicle. I think that's how math works. And so so it's a bit of a premium. It's probably going to charge a little bit slower than those other charging stations. But because there's so many of them at those stations, typically, especially with the new ones, this one is like 6 plugs. I'm like, oh, that's like EA level, but you go to some Tesla stations like 40.
Yeah,
40 chargers, which is sort of that's the.
I think there's one in California now. There's like 120 dispensers.
Yeah, they're like spread out over 2 different like pieces of property and stuff. Yeah, the only time I've had issues driving up and down the state in my Ioniq 5 just using EA because it's free. Woo, free driving for Robbie. Was over on Christmas, like the day after Christmas, we were driving back and we had to wait like an hour to charge. And then I leaned over and I told my wife that, like, if we had the adapter, we could just go to that Tesla charge. Which wasn't this, and she's like, what the fuck? So that's when it really pays off to be able to access that network, is the ability to, when it's really busy, you could probably still find a charging station at the Tesla location versus EA, which is, where we put 10. I'm like, oh guys, come on.
Yeah. Well, like where I am here, I'm just outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and the supercharger station that's actually closest to me here is relatively new. It was just put in late 2023. And that one actually even has Magic Docks. But that one works fine with adapters or with the Magic Dock on everything I've tried. Every EV I've tried from a bunch of different brands works fine. But the one that's on the other side of Ann Arbor was actually the very first supercharger station in Michigan. And so it's like 10 years old, and it's an old version 2 charger. And that one does not work with non-Tesla vehicles, even with an adapter.
I've tried. I've taken the Mach-E with the adapters.
I did the same thing.
So I'm like, I'm just going to try it and see what happens. And it's like, no, we told you it wouldn't work. I'm like, you're not the boss of me. And it didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I tried when they first launched the supercharger access on Fords last year. They sent over a Mach-E for a couple of days with the Tesla adapter, which is what they were shipping at the time. And, so I was using the official Tesla adapter on the Mach-E. Wouldn't even talk to it.
No.
Didn't think there was anything there.
It's like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So. Oh, well. Sorry about that, John. But it does sound like those might be older Tesla stations. There's nothing you can do.
Yep.
We tried too. We tried yelling. We tried shaking, crying, pleading. Nothing worked.
Yeah. All right. While we were having that discussion here, Nicole was messing around with the Free to Move app on her phone. Nicole, tell us what you just said.
Okay, this app is not great. So first of all, I have 2 Wagoneer S's on here. One of them is mine with the correct VIN, and I know it's mine with the correct VIN because I've given my VIN that many times to people over the phone now to show it that I know the VIN.
Memorized her VIN, everyone.
I know the last 6
It's a 17-digit number.
And I'm looking at the end, the digits. I'm like, yep, that's mine. But then there's another one that's a Wagoneer S with nothing that's under a sheet like it's about to be revealed. That's listed as my main car. And I switched it. And it's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, I do, in fact, want to switch it to my actual vehicle. And then I'm trying to find locations where there's charging. And it got me into Boston, and it's showing me Boston Logan Airport, which I know fairly well. And when I click on that, it shows me there is one thing available, one charging station, and it is available. And there has to be like 30 or 40 at the airport. I mean, there could be nothing available, but there's more than one there. It's like a whole wall. Level 6, section AA. There's a whole bunch of them. I know where they are. What is happening with this app? I too, John, I had to double check. John, I too am confused. I'm going to play with this again this week and see if I can figure it out. But literally while we're talking, I thought, I'll just download this and see what it does for me. I'm like, what is happening? So this app is a little confusing. Just a skosh.
Wonky.
Mm-hmm. I did figure get my $600 credit is on there. I figured out how to do that. Have that all loaded up.
Now you just got to figure out how to actually use it.
I just got to figure out how to use it.
Well, there's no chargers, so you're never going to be able to use that credit.
It looks like I can use it at any charge point location is what it's telling me. So I guess I'm just going to go charge at charge point chargers when I'm on the go. That's my new plan.
If you can find one that charges over 50 kilowatts.
If I can, I'll have to play with it. I will play with this now over this week just to see what happens.
All right. Thank you. Well, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.